Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage podcast, episode 172. I'm Eric
Oh my
Berger,
God, you got it right.
joined as always by my co-host Ryan Sinitsky. Hello, sir.
Hey.
And yes, I did get it right. Other than that little stumble there.
You did stumble, but this is our second time
Stressing
back
me
in the
out.
studio for
Yeah.
and since
It's been
Yeah.
February. I think February is when we stopped.
no, it was March because
March?
it was after
you're right,
yeah it was
you're
right after the car show. We did one after the car show, and then they shut down the world.
That's right.
So
That was so weird to look back on the fact that we did the auto show 2 days before they just shut the world down.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
Oh, okay.
Holy shit.
Dude, that's probably safe.
Drive Cartel was screwed because Drive Cartel, I think they were going to record and then they shut it down as they were on the way. They was nope, and they're I guess we're turning around.
Oh, they were scheduled to do the auto show too?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
They were way later.
Rip.
So
Rip.
oh
I
well.
had hand sanitizer on my keychain, so we were all fine.
Yes, we were all very safe.
We had beer, which is
Yeah.
sanitary.
Which we have today. But before we get to that, we have to introduce our guest.
We do.
We have the master of fingers today, Taylor Finger.
Hola.
I was gonna maybe try to comment, but Master of Fingers, I really can't.
Taylor, you're a Minnesota car enthusiast that has an exceedingly eccentric collection of cars, and all of them have very good stories. But we will get to that in a moment. Just first, we can talk about our beers.
Well, we have a process. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Eric, what are you drinking?
Water.
You are drinking water.
Yep.
You have a Paulaner. Grapefruit.
Randler.
How is that?
It's beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah.
It's excellent.
Mine's very empty.
I have 56 Brewing IPA, whatever. This tastes like racism. Not gonna drink that. Now I've got a Third Street Brew Labs Minnesota Gold Lager, which I've had on here before, and tastes delicious.
Cheers to
Okay. So
Mind you, he did not buy that beer to make that joke. His
No.
dad gives him free beer because
Yeah.
he works at a liquor store.
This was
Okay.
free, so I did not support 56
good.
Brewing.
I'm all right, that's funny and topical, but also you kind of supported him by buying it, right?
No, I did not.
Okay,
I
well,
will
good.
not support this company anymore. If you're not familiar with the 56 Brewing fiasco, the too long didn't read version is the CEO chased a POC employee around the business with a noose as a joke.
Which he tied himself.
That's not a joke. That's
No,
terrorism.
that's not a joke ever.
No.
Much less now.
Oh, he claims he was tying fishing knots in the corner of his tap room, which he often does.
It's
And
obviously
it was mistaken.
Sure, yeah.
And he immediately apologized to this person who he offended,
Taylor,
which did not happen.
You go to breweries. Have you ever seen any sort of knot anywhere in a brewery?
Actually, every single time that I go, I just, I go and tie fishing knots in
That's
the
what
corner.
you do, actually.
And
yeah.
then I run around and chase the patrons around.
all the patrons. Okay, so
And
it's
on the
a
off
normal
chance
thing,
one
yeah.
of those patrons is not a white person like yourself,
Well,
you run into some problems?
occasionally.
Okay. But I haven't seen you on the news.
So
Well,
I guess I was wrong.
I-
He's a really good
Oh.
lawyer.
Yeah.
Did you learn from the master of knot tying at 56?
I did. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to lie to us. It's okay.
So this is also an IPA with a IBU of 30. That doesn't count as IBA because that's that's just a pale ale.
Yeah, that's closer to an EPA.
Yeah, this company lies to me. There's no way. I'm sorry. If I had an IPA and I had an IBU of 30, I'd feel like I was robbed. Because
Well, some hazies get that low.
yeah, well, no, a hazy's different, but an actual IPA, there's a reason I don't drink them because they taste like battery acid.
What they're probably doing is they had a bunch of recipes that were probably all terrible anyway, and that was probably originally like a Pilsner, and then the IPA kick really started happening, so they labeled all their beers IPAs without even paying any attention to the type
The
of brew.
sanctity.
That
But I mispronounced that word.
sanctity.
That's okay. Brains are operating at a very low
It's
threshold.
roughly balls hot.
It is
here, so.
balls hot in here, and the humidity is that of a pool.
So yeah, either way, we're not going to be supporting 56 Brewing literally ever. Because
we'll dump
of
that out later,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm actually probably going to yeet it into the sun on TikTok. So,
Well then,
anyway, so we
I
got
have caribou, which
you have
is
caribou,
not,
yes.
I haven't heard any problems with
and
caribou.
it's iced, which
It
sounds
is
amazing
iced.
these
It's
days.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
with oat milk.
Oat
Because
juice.
if you drink
Oats don't have nipples.
true, so oat
Little
juice,
do you know,
it's actually like blended oats. So
Oh.
you've
it's
never
with
milked an oat.
blended oat cream. I don't know,
Tiny little
but
kids.
oat is the best.
tiny little teats on
Milk
on oats.
substance.
That I can see.
Yes.
All right.
Anyway, before we dig into the standard guest topics, which we really need to dig into with you, I want to briefly touch on our Patreon page. Patreon.com is a mechanism for content consumers like you to directly support content producers like us. Head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage and check out the 2 open-ended levels of support that we have. You also do get some kickbacks in the merchy kind of way. So either way, if you want to do that for us, we would appreciate it. If not, certainly no pressure at all. So, Taylor,
Hello.
we have some questions.
Yes,
And
you
I put them on the screen just to kind of help you out here, so you don't have to deal with my brain malfunctioning as I try to read these things to you. But
Who/what are you?
We're borderline illiterate.
you don't have
sometimes.
to put your pronouns in there or anything. But yeah, who/what
Are you?
Are you? And
What?
then that.
That's a good question. Still figuring that out.
Well, you can ballpark it. It's fine.
Ballpark. Crazy person. Seeing as I
that's
own
accurate,
7
yeah.
cars and 3 motorcycles in a Minneapolis, like South Minneapolis apartment. 5 of them are parked on the street currently.
I see.
Wow.
With a 1-car garage.
So do you have to buy like parking permits for that, or is it unregulated street parking?
Just have to buy out my neighbors with bribery and.
Bribery
That's what
and
makes the
beer.
wheels of justice really, really go. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exploiting loopholes. It's good.
So these cars that you have, what you said you have 7 and then 3
Three
motorcycles.
bikes, I think I heard. Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
Can you tell us what all they are? Because that's kind of a massive list.
Well, I'll have to remember it. It sounds kind of like Berger talking about his cars.
Yeah, you don't have a Google Docs
I mean,
to reference.
we could go right into what do you drive? What are your cars?
Well,
And if you classify them as project cars too, but
so
what's your most dailiest vehicle?
my most dailiest vehicle is a 2003 BMW Z4
Okay.
that I salvage title that I brought back from the dead from a Copart auction like
I think I've seen photos
3
of that.
years ago.
It looks like Derek
4
Cole
years
had a
ago?
car that looked just like that at one
It
point.
is Derek's,
Oh.
Derek Cole's.
Yeah.
So I used to be in the old Audis, and I met Derek
Oh,
Cole,
gross.
and I still have an old Audi.
But he's got the most tolerable old Audi.
Well, we'll get into that. I'll be the judge of that.
But yeah, my daily vehicle is a BMW Z4 that I drive winter, summer, year round. Snow tires on it, took it road trips.
Are your
3,000 mile
A-pillar
road
soft
trips.
tap latches completely destroyed like all Z4s?
They sometimes work.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's pretty good.
so
So sometimes you're just soft top will
That's fine.
blow open.
Yeah.
yeah, the power steering.
It's a
doesn't work
price.
currently.
That's a price you pay for luxury.
I
So
wonder if that's a Luke LF20 pump, because those like to shear the shaft internally and stop working.
Well, actually, BMW in their infinite wisdom decided to run an electric pump or an electric steering column, which breaks
Awesome.
even more than those.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
wow, you went from an Audi to a BMW, but you're still dealing with Audi problems of the slightest bump into a curve will destroy your power steering, and then it'll be
I'm
$3,000
fascinated by that. I
to fix
gotta find a picture of this.
So you have that, and then
I have a myriad of old Volvos. I have a
What's-
68
so-
122 Amazon coupe.
That's not an electric rack.
that's
well,
not the
it's in
right
the
photo.
column actually. The motor's in the column.
Oh, so the assist motors are
and it's
cool.
a whole lot of black magic and fuckery.
Cool. You can ignore me. You're going about
So
something.
you have your you said 60 what?
68 Amazon coupe. 120. Yeah, 68 120.
So like that's the two-door version of Darren's
Two-door version,
of Darren's car. Yeah.
I have two 145s. I have a 73 and a 71,
If
which I both pulled out of fields in the past couple of years.
which one's the orange one? Is that the 73?
So that's the 73, and then I got the 71 because it's got the earlier front end, which is a lot
Way better.
prettier.
Yeah. If you read the Carbitrage blog, you will have seen his car in our Intermark coverage. His car.
I just post links. That's
I
all
know,
I do.
but I was just saying to our readers and listeners, his car has been on our blog before, so you can get an idea for it. I believe it was in part 1 of
And
it.
you mentioned a 3-digit number. I'm assuming those are also Volvos?
Oh, they're all Volvo.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Cool. So,
Yeah, a myriad of shitty old Volvos. A Miata that's actually nice, halfway nice until I crashed it. And then an Audi 4000 Quattro, my Montero, which you approached me
that
about.
one, which is awesome.
And then
What kind of bikes do you have?
I have a bunch of old Hondas.
Okay.
So
Wait, so you had 3.
2 old Hondas
Yeah,
and
well.
2
I
Honda
don't know if that
S90s.
qualifies as
Well,
a bunch.
They're
You don't
bunched
have
up
a
in my
problem.
garage with
It's fine.
parts around
Okay,
them.
fine.
So,
So those are in your garage, your 3 bikes, and
yes.
then obviously space to work on aforementioned bikes. See, that's like the sensible thing if you live in Minneapolis is to just have motorcycles, because you can have a bevy of them in the space of one vehicle. So like then you can fill a garage with a bunch of motorcycles.
Yes, but winter.
Yeah, but I mean it's also Minneapolis.
Studded
So.
tires.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, stud tires on your bike. Just ride dirty. Put like one snow tire in the back.
Oh, jeez. Stoppings for sissies.
So you have those. Your Montero. I think you should actually go into the story on that, because when you told me that was a super cool story of how you ended up with that.
Yeah, so Montero's, it's a first-gen Montero, and it was one of the myriad of like little 2-door SUVs, 4x4s, really, that they produced in the 80s from Japanese manufacturers. You know, there's a Samurai, there's a Montero, there was the Trooper,
Rocky.
the Rocky.
Oh yeah, the Rocky. Yeah.
There's a Bertone Free Climber, which was a rebadged Daihatsu, which, like, that's my dream truck. We'll go into that. We won't go into
Giant Bertone wrap on it. Mm.
That would
Yeah.
be perfect. I've seen like one on Bring a Trailer, like
Yeah,
ever.
it-
So I
they are
that's the only way I
amazing.
know that truck.
that. But yeah, so I had always been interested in the Monteros. My dad had one that he bought brand new in the 80s. He put an aftermarket sunroof in it.
Oof. Sure, that
And
didn't leak ever.
I'm sure not. But
My homework
Like
was never
either-
ruined by it.
maybe. He got rid of it before I even knew about it or was alive.
Okay.
But
Sir.
I had just always been interested in them. Like they are just a cool, super rugged little 4x4. And I happened upon one on Craigslist about a year ago. And I always browse Seattle Craigslist like daily.
That's the way you're supposed to,
You know.
because you get the best deal. Everything is cheap and nothing has rust. So
Yes, it is manual, Scott.
one of our patrons messaged us asking if
It
was
is.
manual.
It is manual.
Yes, it is manual.
It is manual. It is very manual. It has manual transmission, manual transfer case, manual windows, manual quarter windows, manual rear sliding windows.
Manual locks.
Manual
Manual
fuel
locks.
pump.
Manual,
Manual ignition advance.
manual tailgate lock
Yeah,
as
I
well.
just, you know,
Like
crank the
it's,
ignition.
yeah, you have to hand crank the fuel pump the entire time you're driving.
Saw a meme the other day. It was like motoring in 1900, 1940, and then today, and it was like my TPMS light's on. I have to take it to the dealer, and then it was like, oh, I've got to manually shift, manually crank, and then it was like I've got to decompress the cylinder head, manually crank the engine over while setting the fuel prime, the oil prime, and the ignition advance.
That's actually correct.
And
Yes.
I'm just like, all right, yeah, we are all a bunch of wussies.
well, that sounds simpler than the process to get many of my cars running. So
Yikes.
Yeah, your
The Audi,
car's
probably,
yeah,
specifically.
the Audi itself. Yeah,
CIS. I'll just say that.
I hate CIS.
he's got a wood block and a hammer.
Well, we've got. You should listen to our Trig episode. We go on quite a
Yeah.
tangent about CIS.
My friend Trig is like a CIS savant. Like that's pretty much all he does is CIS and like woodworking and metalworking. That's
He
about
must
it.
hate himself.
Yeah, I think he does.
I think he does. Yeah.
So, I think my favorite part about your Montero are the backwards sliding rear windows, like on
Oh, I love
super early minis. Like that's definitely the
Is
coolest
this
part.
the body style? No, it's a 90s.
Wait, go back up. It's a 89 like right there. That's identical, just a
Okay.
different color. So
Scale on
Yeah,
the
the sliding windows are amazing. I mean, you with the like, look at the window space in that. Like, you have like all of basically everything except for the windshield opens. So
Oh, sorry, it's capturing the wrong Firefox window. That's cool. Anyway.
So yeah, you have, I mean, an incredible amount of like just, you can, it's got AC even though it doesn't have AC.
Yeah, you don't.
Like,
You
had
don't
AC
need.
at one
You don't
point.
need
It
the
did.
AC. Actually, yeah, you can still see the bracket and like the unused pulley. Yeah.
Like any old AC.
Would have been
it did
fun
work.
to see just how much power that would have sucked out of that engine with it on.
Oh God, that would be really bad. Cause yeah, that's carbureted. That like wouldn't like make more power from when the AC's on.
It does 80 for an indefinite amount of time until the engine, blows up. But
It'll go 80 north of Redline.
I feel like the Pyero is a different size, isn't it?
Well,
it is actually it is just the
Pyero, but American.
Pyero, but Pyero, I believe.
Pajero. Pyero. I think it actually
Pajero
is
is wrong.
Yeah,
Americans
it's,
never
it's
know
actually
how to pronounce
Pyero.
things, so.
Okay, so it is definitely capturing the wrong thing entirely. I'm just making sure. All right. Ignore me. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the stream
So
setup.
when you got this, what did you buy this truck? Well, you don't have to tell us, but you bought it for a hell of a deal, and you,
Quite cheap.
yeah, what? And
It was not running.
It wasn't running, and you bought it out of state.
I bought it on the complete opposite side of the country. So,
So how did you get it here? Did you push it?
it's it involved a lot of swearing, a lot of just
Hoping for the best.
hoping for the best. So
That's a good way to go into things. It's very financially secure.
so I had this thing, and I had the Craigslist link was up in my phone for like actually like I think several weeks, and I finally called the guy. I'm just to feel out like if there was even possibility that I could figure out how to make this work. Like, is it still available? Like, what can I do to make this work? So, I don't really. I mean, I've got Darren out in Seattle now. My friend Darren.
been on.
which you
We know,
know,
yeah,
and
he's
I
been
think
on
he's
here,
been
yeah.
on our show.
Yep.
And
Did he go out and look at it, or who was
he
your
didn't.
friend
He
that
didn't go
like-
out and look at it. Actually, no one looked at it for me. Which is
So you
Okay.
bought
Completely
Brave
stupid.
choice.
this not running truck sight unseen
Yep.
in like a state that you've never been to.
And so suddenly I'm contacting shipping companies, and if you ever like contact shipping companies online and
I do
like
it all
try
the
and get
time.
quotes,
They're full of shit.
it is insane.
It's probably
then-
just a total gong
and-
show. Yeah.
So
And
I've
then
got
they
the truck.
extort you too.
The truck is in Olympia, Washington, which
Okay.
is a decent bit away from Seattle itself.
Yeah. It's not anywhere near Darren. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to find shops in Seattle that can so it's got a cracked cylinder head. All these things cracked cylinder heads, and so I have to replace the cylinder head and find someone that I can actually trust to do that. That I know
on this
absolutely no one.
old Mitsubishi that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah. So
Like when you think of a Montero, you think of like the world's rustiest 5-door SUV from like the early 2000s.
And it's on
You think of
two
a Montero
wheels.
Sport,
Yeah.
and it's like totally clapped out and like has one foot in the grave. You don't think of
Finding a
that.
cylinder head, just tell me you got like a 1986 Charger. It's probably the same thing.
you mean Challenger?
Whatever.
Yeah, it is
All with the
actually
Mitsubishi.
it's the
same.
same cylinder. I mean, it's the same engine that they used in fucking
Starions.
Voyagers and
Everything, yeah.
like any Chrysler car, like K cars.
Yeah, because the K car just used effectively what was a Chrysler version of the Mitsubishi engine, right?
Yep. And the cylinder head is what killed them all because they had jet
true.
valves, like an economy
Yeah.
or EPA.
The
BMW called those thermal reactors.
Yeah.
They didn't work well for them either.
So, how did you end up getting the head? Like, did you just find somebody that just works on K cars or something, or where did you find the cylinder head? Like, did you just get lucky at a junkyard or something, or?
So surprisingly, there are some people who are insane that build Starions and Conquests,
Oh yeah.
These are
which
people.
would have the same exact engine.
These are people that that have a lot of money and like to drive very slowly for very short periods of time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Every
Until-
Starion I've ever seen has been parked.
I've
For good
seen
reason.
I've never seen
For good
one in
reason.
motion.
I've seen like 4 running ones. Like that's I love a lot of really unreliable cars.
I sure do know that.
This Starion is one of those cars where it is in my top 5 favorite cars of all time, and I refuse to ever buy one because I know better.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where
First
I'm
time I
never
saw it,
gonna
man, it
touch
was great. I was actually buying some E30 parts in this guy's like city barn. It was the weirdest thing ever. Must have just been a big carriage house, but he had a car cover. I'm like, oh, what's under that? And he proceeds to pull the cover off, and it's just an immaculate red on black Starion. And he opens the hood, and it's got like a 62 millimeter turbo on this original engine that's been hopped up. And he's like, yeah, it's not currently running. I'm like,
Yeah, I
Well,
wonder.
okay.
Shocking. I'm not surprised.
But that was like my first experience with a Starion. I had to go like look it up and try to figure out what I just saw, and it was super cool.
So
I
you
love
can-
the styling.
If that uses a Starion engine, you can 4G63 swap those.
Yeah, so that is
Or
a
Sonata
very
swap it.
interesting.
Yes, or you can put in a Sonata engine if you want to
So-
save a lot of money.
Because this has a Starion engine. I
Those
can do
you
the
can have
exact
these
same.
fries if you would like.
Okay.
I'm not gonna eat them. I've had too
I
I've
may
had
not
too
as
many
well.
stinky nugs already, so I need these extra fries.
Okay,
Like
good. That was visible on the stream, so it's good.
So now people know what's going on. So you ended up getting a Starion engine then?
So I ended up getting a Starion cylinder head.
Yeah.
And basically shipped it out to this guy. I put a mild camshaft in it, and
As one does.
You can't leave well enough alone. I understand that. Yeah.
You got to take off the timing belt anyway. You may as well,
Do something extra. Huh?
and yeah. So one of my Volvo friends, internet Volvo friends, he reached out to me and he told me that he had a friend in Olympia actually who was a mechanic, and a pretty trusted guy who he builds a lot of hot rods and a lot of kind of boomer stuff, but he's good at what he does, so and doesn't charge
Crazy
an arm and
amounts.
a leg. So
Yeah.
I had
Wait, and he was in Olympia,
he was a little bit out of where the car was,
but he wasn't in like Seattle or anything.
right.
That's probably why you
So-
saved so much money. Because if it was Seattle, it'd be like $300 an hour and like enough to pay rent.
And
Like-
you'd find a body in
Oh.
a suitcase.
It would have been cheaper to ship it than deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that would have been awful. So anyway,
So I get the thing shipped there, and that was a whole ordeal. Sending money to any number of like shipping companies is like
That's a dice
it's a
roll.
terrifying ordeal, especially when you are not at the pickup point or the
the drop
drop-off
Oh my
point.
God, that sounds.
They were asking me to give cash at the drop-off or at the pickup point, and I'm like, I
Was it like
am not there.
Yuri and Gulag,
Right.
like trying to, like rolling past you. Like, yeah, I'll take your Montero. Just ends up in like Albania.
Yeah, cash is pretty common for shipping, but usually it's like a pretty healthy deposit down to pick up the car, and then they extort you when you pick it up with cash. Because they ask for usually the entire amount, including the deposit that you already paid on a card, in cash, or they won't give you the car. So
Oh my
that's
God.
Sounds like a
very,
shipping
very common with shippers.
That's really greasy.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That's a very greasy industry.
When I got my E, it was like the middle of the night, no banks open. The guy's like, oh, yeah, it's actually $175 more than you have. I'm like, no, here's my printed receipt.
It's right there.
Yeah, it's like, well, I can't give you the car until you get me that. And, like, no customer support's open for anything. So I'm like, well,
Yikes.
that was fun. So I got to find a
So now-
completely wrong bank branch and pay a very exorbitant ATM fee twice because it was the max
my
for
God.
the single transaction. It was great. So anyway, sorry. Don't mean to hijack the story, but shippers
Man.
are greasy.
Yeah, I mean, So I guess the other small element of the story was that the seller had left by that point, so he was moving out of state.
So he wasn't even there. So,
So
it's just
he
this
w-
random
like
car
this,
in a field.
This truck was in his friend's driveway,
God,
and
this is like the biggest nightmare.
so
It's
like
stressing
and
me out listening to it.
so like I'm working with this guy, and for some reason I'm absolutely nuts, and I just like keep pursuing this thing, even though like this guy he's leaving within like 4 days or 5
Yeah.
days after I first talked to him, and like just leaving the car in the driveway, and non-running vehicle. I guess I also forgot the detail of So I asked this guy to send me the title after I sent him the deposit, and he decided to send his only key with the title.
Oh.
And so I'm like,
this is when you get to pay a locksmith to come make a key for your.
I'm like sweating, like
this
I'm
is so irritating.
I get the title in the mail, and he's like, the first time that I talked to him, he's like, we're talking, and I'm like, let's do a deposit, and you'll just send me the title. He's like, okay, and I'll send you the key as well. No, please do not do that, because the key will probably be required to steer the car onto the trailer and open the doors.
Is there a
and
steering lock
such
in that?
things. There is.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
That
steering locks
luxurious.
Steering locks, I think, were mandatory by the
2008 Escalades don't have them. From
Really?
the factory. I can tell you that for sure.
Weird, because well, I guess that's because it's a truck. But I know in cars, like you've needed them since the 70s.
I was shocked.
like I've been in Type 2s, like split window Type 2s with steering locks. But that's wow. Okay. Anyway, carry on.
So
Rams get away with a lot, I guess.
Yeah, apparently, Jesus Christ, not even a steering lock. All right, anyway, I'm sorry, keep
GM.
hijacking it. So, the key is now
the key is
Absolutely.
in my possession.
not
about
which is
state.
not
about 2,000 miles away from the
so
from
not,
the vehicle.
not walking distance.
Um,
Not quite.
the seller has left. Seller has left the building.
He's not
and,
available.
and
He's
also the
not
state.
answering.
And
Oh my God.
so
The seller's
I-
now left the chat.
Oh my
exactly.
God. So.
So I had to ship. Let's see. I had to make a copy of the key, and ship it. Like, I spent $50 to ship one key to Washington, because
Overnight.
I had to overnight it, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
what if the shipping company gets there and I'm,
Right.
there's no key.
Ugh.
So I'm dealing with like logistics of making all these things happen. And
with
within,
everybody being about as shady as
several-
possible.
Exactly. And the shipping company won't give me a date of drop off or pickup, and so I don't know whether the mechanic friend of a friend of a friend will be there.
That works on hot rods.
I don't know if the seller or the seller's friend will be there.
Oh my God.
I don't know if the shipping company will be there, and I don't know when the shipping
And how much
company will be
Yeah,
there.
You're
you don't
dealing
know-
with street rats,
And you
basically.
and you
The
have
key will be
thousands
there
of
either.
dollars tied up in all of this.
Oh yeah, and the money is just racking up and up and up.
And
And
just
this
you
was
still have nothing.
The initial purchase price is starting to look less good now.
yeah.
So your hairline was previously down here, and now
It
it's
has
like
moved up
here.
quite a bit. I have some gray hairs in my beard now.
because of this whole ordeal. So I imagine the key arrived in time for the truck.
the key did not arrive.
What?
The key got lost in the mail.
Oh my
no.
God.
And you spent $50 to lose a copy of a key.
A copy of the key.
Plus the copy of the key, which I'm sure cost some money, even though probably not much.
This is
Correct.
the greatest ordeal I've heard of.
I thought my trips went poorly, so I'm feeling really good right now to know that this shit doesn't just happen to me.
Yeah, Eric, you've had some nightmares. when
I've dealt with some stuff for sure.
when I heard the Cliff's Notes of the story, I'm like, Eric has nothing on this, and this is way more than you originally. Wow.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
would have signed off when the guy told me he was moving out of state. So.
Yeah.
So you're still
I
in
should
it.
have.
Yeah, so you're still in it. So now the key's been lost in
So-
the mail. Now you've got Yuri and Oleg trying to tow your car
Correct.
with no key.
The key. So I'm like, what do I do now? Like I'm waiting to hear from the seller's friend, I think, and just nothing.
Nothing. Just
no,
no-
like
no
the key has not
response.
arrived. Like so
Oh
I'm.
my God.
I spend $50 overnight another key.
So
and
it's-
No,
I'm
so you
just,
spent
like,
$100
hoping-
on the keys alone.
Yeah, plus, cutting keys and just like
$100 in shipping for the
spending
keys.
like days of work just like
Yeah.
trying like on the phone for like 24/7, trying
Oh
to
my
find
God.
call shipping companies, trying to get keys made.
This is the worst nightmare I've ever heard of.
God.
So,
I finally the key arrives
yes.
Oh, good.
Before the shippers or after?
before the shippers. I think actually it was the same day.
Nice.
Oh my
The
God.
shippers came out about noon, and
The-
the key arrived just before that.
Okay, I thought you were saying the key arrived at like 1 or something. And
no.
they'd already got it on the truck.
And
Because that would
so-
have been kind of like on brand for this whole story
Oh,
so
it would have
far.
been.
Yeah.
That on brandness is reserved for more later.
More of this goes wrong. Okay.
Oh, God.
So, the vehicle, I asked them to give me a confirmation when the vehicle is picked up.
And I'm sure they didn't.
No, the
No.
Oh,
the
God,
vehicle-
you see
the
Scott's
seller-
terrible pun.
Next time,
Bring a trailer.
I think that'll be a logical solution next time.
Oh my God.
Coming back in with that distraction. I'm back.
So, your key was wrong, and the Yuri and Oleg picked up your truck with didn't give you the confirmation that they said that.
No confirmation. So now, like I think at some point that day, the seller's friend told me that the vehicle has gone. And
Wait.
that's the only
I'm
thing
sorry.
that-
That's what he
The
said.
vehicle
Like-
has gone.
The vehicle has gone.
And that's like
I-
that's the end of it.
That's what I want to hear. At the
that's how you want to know that that's your confirmation. Yeah, it's gone. What?
and
Where'd it go?
And I contact the shipping company, and I'm just like waiting on like ETAs, and I'm waiting on my mechanic friend of a friend of a friend to tell me if the car is received there. It took several days for me to receive confirmation from the mechanic friend of a friend of a friend to
well, that's a lot of hops too, but yeah.
to tell me that yes, the car has arrived.
I'm beginning to think it might have been cheaper to fly out there, rent a trailer it to the repair shop yourself, fly
Oh.
back to Minneapolis, then fly there again.
It would have been
once
cheaper
it's
to
done.
ship it inoperable across the country.
It would have been. That is correct.
Because it costs about $1,500 to do that open carrier.
Yep.
I would have done that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Hindsight.
it is.
I did it once. Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
It got to your friend of a friend of a friend's shop,
and he starts tearing into it. I mean, he sends me a photo. It was the biggest sigh of my life. Just like to know that a vehicle. I have a photo of a vehicle in
that
a
you have
shop.
a title for.
Because,
yeah,
it might have been lit on fire. It might have.
like anything
dropped
could
off the
have
truck.
happened.
Yeah.
It literally sounds like I would not have been surprised if you told me, yeah, I got confirmation that's at a shop in like Croatia.
Exactly.
Well, it's actually at an impound yard because the new homeowners didn't know what it was.
And they just like impounded it.
All right. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, that entirely it would be like yeah, it's in Tijuana. You live in Tijuana, right? No. Oh, Twin Cities. Oops. Sorry.
Started
Well,
with a T. Yeah.
at least it's nicer down here.
Yeah. So it arrives at the top, and biggest sigh of my life, and the mechanic starts tearing into it. And, I had been sent photos of this vehicle, and the reason I bought it was because, and everything in the photos, I mean, it looked like the most original, truck. You've seen so many of these that, they get flat black paint jobs, they get
Yeah,
any manner of
the worst possible bro truck treatment. Yeah.
fuckery. People put, some
Painted as a
weird
Tonka truck by
carb
high
that they
schoolers.
had
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in their garage.
It sounds like, yeah, and this one obviously isn't.
Right. So I'm assuming that someone with some intelligence actually, kind of
Owned it.
and did some work on it, and the work that they did on it was proper. That you should definitely not assume that when you buy a car.
Why?
So what I was told is the head was just slightly cracked, and it never overheated. Nothing happened. It
That's
just
good.
started running funny, which sounded kind of fishy to me, but you can take seller's word for it every time.
Every time, all the time, forever.
Oh.
It's always a good decision.
So he starts tearing into it, and the head bolts are loose. The carburetor is loose. The manifolds are loose, like finger tight. The linkages are, I think they were gone, or like several parts of them were gone.
Oh, wonderful.
And so he like, I was told that it runs, but just like very, it runs pretty poorly.
Yeah.
So he started it and ran it, and it surprisingly ran.
Even
But
missing carburetor linkages.
within a 10-second, like maybe even 5-second span of running, it filled the cylinders with like this much coolant, like just pools of coolant.
So the water pump's working very well
A
then.
water pump is working very well.
So there you go. There's
Look
a
at the
positive.
bright side.
So far in the story, you have a water pump and it is functional.
Correct.
We'll say it's enthusiastic.
It was a very expensive water pump, but it's
sounds like
functional. Maybe I should have just had him ship that.
Just the water pump. I got this great water pump. It works
Better than
great.
nothing.
And so, okay, so he pulls the head off. There is half of an old head gasket just like stuck in the head. Like he didn't bother to clear the head gasket off of the head, which I think is a normal operating procedure.
Should clear it off. Yeah.
Oh, of other
Typically,
note.
yeah.
Of other note. So one of the reasons that you can't trust a seller too much, but sometimes you get clues.
The flag is literally flying into the fan.
So another reason why you can't take a seller's word.
Right. So another, I mean, like there are some indications that you can like
Eric's gonna go fix this flag. 1 second.
believe
You can keep going.
a seller just slightly more than another.
Yeah.
And so like the seller told me that he's an aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
And aircraft mechanics are pretty methodical. They have to run through checklists. They have to have a signature for every bolt that they touch.
This is the thing though. Something I've learned. If you ever look at a mechanic's car or a detailer's car,
It's correct. Yeah,
a detailer's car is always filthy. Mechanic's car is always barely running.
Hey, not always.
Well,
But Eric, you're not a career mechanic.
I'm not, but I'm a mechanic.
But you're not a career. We're
He
talking
means
about.
career
then-
mechanic.
Well, so I should say a career mechanic
Thank
or a
you.
career detailer.
There you go.
Like their cars are always terrible. Like Hip's cars are always filthy. Your
And
car.
yet John is a hobbyist detailer, and his car is
Perfect.
rusting to pieces, but always very clean where there's still paint.
Yeah, it's shiny. There's giant holes in the body, but shiny. Yes.
Okay, we've established this. Very good.
so I mean, I my thought process in my infinite wisdom was, there's a layer of separation. So mechanics' cars are often terrible and terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But aircraft mechanic, like they gotta be. There's a layer of separation.
I mean,
there,
they
right?
do use
People's lives.
EA82s
Oh,
in
God.
there.
Yeah, I have no faith
Planes.
in aircraft mechanics because they use 1980s Subaru engines and the ultralights.
That's correct.
And
Actually,
that
that
is
is
an
a
awful
very
idea.
that is a very
You
true
just
point.
didn't think of that. You're just like, okay, aircraft mechanic. I trust him with my life.
He knows how to.
He
turn a
knows
wrench.
what's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One would
Um,
think.
He knows how to safety wire a nut.
So, moral of the story. Well, definitely nothing was safety wired or even
Well,
at a point where you would.
I was gonna
want
say it
to-
doesn't surprise me that it's not safety,
Safety
wired
wired.
on a vehicle, but
Finger tight would be a better.
sounds like
term.
a funny joke with your last
So-
name.
The
Finger
whole
tight.
the whole engine is finger tight.
Correct. And
That's
I'm not sure
neat.
about factory spec for Mitsubishi, but
I think finger tight's not
Maybe that's aircraft spec, you know?
You just get into a Boeing airplane, everything's finger tight.
I will
it
say,
expands
in
when it
his
gets hotter.
defense, it is staggering how much stuff works beautifully finger tight.
You know, to be fair, actually, the SR-71 Blackbird did expand to like over a foot when it was at top speed.
Well,
So maybe
'cause
that's
they're-
why it's finger tight. Yeah, because it expands.
That's
Otherwise,
why
it'll
rivets
break.
were so nice.
Yeah, so that's probably why he did everything finger
He
tight.
should
'Cause
have
he knew
riveted the cylinder head on.
he
Well-
knew it was going to overheat, and so he just made sure everything had room to expand.
Exactly.
It stresses me out more than breaking down.
Yes, this is a super stressful
Seriously,
story.
like this story is more stressful than any breakdown I've ever had in a car.
It's in 45 minutes of nightmares happening with
That's
this.
totally fine.
This vehicle still hasn't left Washington.
Nope. And I know it did at some point because I could see it.
so
I shipped it here actually. I
so
shipped it to the Carbitrage.
yeah,
Okay.
no, it didn't actually arrive. Yeah, it's still broken.
We didn't hear it driving. That was just an illusion. He has a boombox.
All
Oh,
that
could be.
all that clicking we were hearing was actually a diesel
It's the
truck.
enthusiastic water pump filling the cylinders.
So you got the truck, everything's finger tight. So I'm sure he probably gave you a break on labor for disassembly, right?
He gave me. He was nice to me. I mean, any competent mechanic would probably turn away at this car and it just
And
like,
run for the hills. Yeah.
like give me some crazy estimate. I actually got a pretty reasonable estimate, and it was about well, I won't say the numbers, but it was fairly reasonable. It was definitely more than
There's four
um,
figures.
it was forfeit. Absolutely,
Yeah, it's four, not five though.
but
Because I would hear that and I'd say it's a 5-figure repair.
right.
It's not
Right.
a Q5.
It's over $10,000 for all the stuff. I mean, so it could be like way worse. So you got lucky. It was just
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So he got your head on, I imagine.
He got my head on.
Good.
Things were okay. I decided to do ARP head studs because I'm insane. And
Well, no, it's a
I
brilliant
wanted-
idea, actually.
Because you care about longevity.
That's true.
You need to make it to Minnesota.
ARP
at the very
2000s or L19s?
Yes.
Yes.
least. The one that is available.
ARP 2000s.
Yes.
L19s you can't touch with your skin because it's like so utterly toxic and it will ruin the bolt and you. It's terrifying.
Well,
We should talk about L19s someday, but not right now.
All right. so ARP head studs. You get the cylinder head on. You get
And-
the hot cam in the cylinder head.
yeah, and I everything is amazing. I pay the seller. I book my flight to Seattle.
Did the flight go to the wrong state?
Surprisingly, no.
Did the engine fall off of the aircraft?
I don't think he worked on that aircraft.
787.
Was the
Outside of
pilot
it.
intoxicated?
Was it a 787 Max and you just nosedive for your landing?
Was it a puddle jumper?
Was it an Antonov?
Yeah, or you just strapped to the wing? Like, what went wrong with this flight? There's no way.
Did
this,
you lose your luggage?
there's no way this flight went well. Like,
We're committed to this story.
Were
being
you strip
complete
search? Did they?
shit. Body cavity?
Yeah, body cavity search. Like, what did they do to you? What
Well-
went wrong here?
I guess another point of this that I should mention is that I
He was
am
repressing it.
I'm insane. Again, which you know. And I had a girlfriend at this time, and she lived in Utah, and so I thought it would be super cool to just like take a road trip from Washington to Utah, and in a 30-year-old truck.
That's very well known.
that
to
I
be in
have not
excellent
seen.
condition.
A
That I
30-year-old
have-
truck they've not seen is known for reliability. Yeah.
And I'm like, baby,
This
it'll
sounds like
it'll
the
be fine.
Subaru
Like,
at my grandma's funeral.
you know. So I'm kind of banking on this thing to be,
Drivable.
Romantic
a car
car.
Well, it isn't.
or
It's a 4x4.
It's supposed to be a form, like a means of moving.
Conveyance.
Of conveyance, yes.
So I get the go ahead from the mechanic. Like he's checked it all over. He's done all the fluids on it, and like he's done a lot of crap on this thing to just like get it proper. And like honestly, the dude was awesome. Like he was like this thing was a nightmare, and he pretty well
he
solved it.
didn't ruin it. Yeah.
For the most part. And so I arrived there at his garage, and I drive it back, and it's like, holy crap! I've got a 4x4 that it has a water pump that works as well
Really,
as
really
an actual
enthusiastic.
engine.
Well, it's got a water pump that works and an engine that keeps the stuff from the water pump within the engine.
It keeps the enthusiastic oil pump and water pump separate.
Yeah.
No.
And so I drive back to my friend Darren's house, and which is so I'm in Olympia, and I drive back to Seattle,
Which
which
is
is
the
like
wrong direction.
correct.
He does not look amused by that comment.
Yeah, this is true. This is how I found this out.
And so, well, no, it is. So I drive actually the correct direction, and it's about an hour drive. And throughout the drive, I'm kind of noticing like a burning oil smell.
Oh no.
And this guy, he tells me
This
like,
is the story.
I'm
know.
just telling him like I put insurance on this
truck, yeah.
on the truck for the mechanic to drive it around and to just like I'm telling him like, dude, just like drive this thing like as much as you can. Like I don't care if you daily drive it. Just like I want to know that it's good. And so I'm kind of trusting that, and just I'm sensing like crazy oil smell like when I'm driving home, and
Not
This
just like-
is exactly
not just
like
like
the Subaru.
like old like D series Honda, but like something is up here.
failed
Something is
turbo
actively
oil burning
dripping.
smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I will probably run out of crankcase
Your
oil
turbo
in
is
50 miles. kind of
Actually a
smell.
potato.
Yeah,
And so
it's a
I'm just
tail that
like-
just leaks oil.
I'm in the mindset of like, dude, this guy's checked it over. He knows his shit. Like, it's fine.
Oh yikes.
I get to my friend Darren's house, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited to show him the truck. I've been
Yeah.
telling him about it for forever. And, he's a car guy. He knows his
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
He's
we
got-
love Darren here. We know
He's
him.
got
Yep.
Yeah, we know Darren.
stupid old Volvos just like me.
And a Fiat 500 Barth, which is great.
Yeah, Darren's a friend of the show, and
He's-
he knows we're very familiar with who Darren is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he's like, man, this is sweet. And like he can tell I'm excited, and he's not trying to downplay it, but like he kind of starts like sensing that like there's a puddle forming underneath it on his driveway, and it's a quite large puddle. It's like the car had been sitting there, and there's about a foot like diameter puddle.
Sure.
of
Which
oil.
let's get ahead of it, saying that a 1 foot puddle of oil is actually like 2 ounces of oil, but that is still a
That's good
significant
knowledge.
amount of
That is
oil.
very good
And how long-
knowledge
how
to
long-
know
how
much
long-
oil I can put back in my car
So
when I see the
I've
puddle.
had BMW M20s before. It's the same deal, but that's when they're healthy.
You've leaked 2 ounces of oil in the
In
Within
the
minutes,
driveway.
within-
that's
in the
within-
driveway.
within minutes.
Residual.
within minutes of being at Darren's house with no active oil pressure pushing this out of the engine.
Correct.
The enthusiastic oil pump
It's-
is asleep right now.
So we have a good water pump and a
Very
good oil
good
pump.
water pump.
Very
Like,
good.
both
oil
of them
pump, yeah.
work very well. And that's
Well, I'm not trying to foist the fault on those components. Clearly, they're doing their job very well.
So what was going on with that oil leak?
so I drive it around for a couple days, and like we pull it in. Like I called it my mechanic friend of a friend of a friend, and
A different friend of a friend of a friend mechanic, though,
and
in a different
like
city.
we bring it to his shop, and like he's telling me like, dude, like I checked this thing over, and I think it's all good. Like, and then he couldn't, like, we got it up on the lift, and he couldn't tell where it's coming from, and so like
Uh-oh, it's
we
gonna be a
buy.
crack block or some shit.
Rear main.
We use like 4 cans of brake cleaner to just like clean this thing off, and we spent honestly several hours, and so I guess another thing to know is like the cylinder head. I got it from like a Starion shop that like, I think they've been in business for a long time. They're one of the top Starion shops.
They know
And
what they're looking at.
I won't say
with this.
who they are, but
Were they at fault?
they failed to let us know that if you put in ARP head bolts, you cannot, you literally cannot torque the the valve cover down without shaving off like
Part
a
of the
large
underside?
part of the baffle on
Sure.
the underside.
Okay.
And
the
so,
physical head bolt's just taller.
well, just the valve cover. I mean, it just sits down on like there's little
there's an
parts of the
indentation.
baffle that
Okay.
sit down on the
On the
where
bolts.
where the head
Sure.
where the head studs are on ARP head
Oh,
studs.
So what you did
No.
And
is
so-
you bought 4 more factory valve cover gaskets and stacked them.
Well, I bought a large amount of valve cover gaskets in order to try and fix this problem, and until we realized that there is like 8 different markings, like
Oh,
circular
no.
markings on the bottom of the valve cover, and so like we spent a large amount of time with a die grinder and finally figured that out. And
Big yikes.
I mean, this is a single overhead cam engine, right?
Yep.
God.
So
every
like, there's
level
not
of this.
actually that much oil propagating around an SOHC cylinder head,
no, but you like
but
we
it's
took
enough where it shoots out the side.
we took a mirror and
Yeah.
we like it was like spewing like Mount
Hemorr-
Rushmore or
hemorrhaging.
Mount not Rushmore is awful.
Mount Vesuvius. Or, yeah, I know what you mean.
uh,
like Mount
Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
Mount
Yeah.
St. Helens.
There you go. There's your
a
why.
different, a different tragedy.
How? What'd you say, honey?
I said it's apt because, like, you know,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
in Washington, so.
Correct.
That's.
I did
oh
go
my
there
God.
with
So
the truck.
it's hemorrhaging out from the valve cover. That's just
Yeah.
Like
wonderful.
little,
Godly
Yes.
torrent. It's
And
much
then-
like the water pump into the cylinders
Yeah.
earlier.
And then the thing is though is mechanic number 1 didn't notice this because so clearly mechanic number 1 did not test drive this.
Clearly, I mean, he drove it. He drove it
God.
around the block like once.
This
just
is
around the block
the
once.
And
biggest-
so
That's-
I'm
that's-
about to take this.
the biggest ordeal
I'm
I've
about
ever heard of.
I'm about to take this with my girlfriend to Utah, and I don't have any of my tools here because I flew there,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be fine, right? It-
No,
It's
like
gonna be
just
fine.
like
It's
like-
very close to
Yeah, this
you know
is fine.
Yeah.
The burning, the
oh
burning
yeah,
house.
my
Yeah.
dog burning.
to your
Yeah,
sticker.
It's
Yeah.
the only meme I have saved in my phone.
Like
This is fine.
I like cars, but I get frustrated when cars don't work, and I could say having to deal with so many broken cars. I like if Ryan's like, "Hey, I need your help," I'm like, "I've done enough for a lifetime. I'm out. Like, I'm not gonna help you." Like,
I can look at them. You know,
I'm just like, no.
pretty car.
I need my car to do this and this.
I
Yeah.
made too many drives up to map in the dark.
Same.
Yeah, there's. Oh my God. So anyway, you got the. I imagine you shaved those.
We shaved those down.
Thank God.
Somehow, it
Okay.
worked. There was an engine in the vehicle that held oil,
And
pushed water through it
and
Enthusiastically.
and moved the wheels.
slowly, but yes.
All right. So at this point, you go to Utah.
We go to Utah. We actually it was
Did
an
it
amazing
work?
it was an
Did it
amazing
work?
trip.
It worked.
Wow.
It worked the whole
truck
time.
Worked the whole time.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was incredible.
Wow.
Wow.
At such a low cost?
At what cost?
At such a low
A
cost.
very low cost.
That's very low asterisk.
So, hey, please tell me after
See,
it gets to
it needs
Utah,
to-
you're done with this ordeal and you finally get home and you enjoy it, right?
Mostly.
Oh no.
Mostly. um,
What
You're
else
worried
could
about not
possibly?
having
The-
enough topics.
This is why I cleared the topics on this episode.
The oof is very large
yeah.
with this.
We cleared these topics
The
for a
knob is
reason.
on the oof has been moved to very
it's-
large.
Yeah.
It's up to
Oof level
11.
large.
This is
Large.
like I told you this is gonna be this is an ordeal that he went through.
Now
Okay.
this poor beige Montero on screen is getting a bad rap.
So
Poor thing.
what
It
what
deserves
else?
It's a
It
V6,
deserves it.
It doesn't
What
matter.
could possibly go wrong in this vehicle? What is left?
Well, coolant hose, exactly.
The-
In the middle of Montana.
Oh no.
Oh, that's actually Montero. Obviously, they have plenty of them, right?
So this thing is running amazing. It's actually like it's at this point I'm driving it, and you expect an 80s truck to be pretty awful on the highway. This thing actually wasn't. It was driving really well. You could hold 70 with it, and it was actually the window seals weren't awful. It was
Did it have working lights and wipers and things like that?
Amazingly, yeah.
That's cool.
You're not dead, so that's
You take
good.
that kind of crap for granted, but I've gotten to the point now where if I buy a car out of state, I buy a set of wiper blades and stuff like that, and I bring it with me.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so annoying to like, oh, this
Well,
is
actually, no. So wiper blade, the wiper blade flew off in Seattle.
I missed
the point.
This is the Montero I know.
Yeah. You don't need
just a giant middle finger waving around.
Everything
you don't need wiper blades.
Not with Rain-X, you don't.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
We're glossing over that. It's a perfect vehicle. It does 70 down the highway. You don't need wiper blades.
You just use a shitload of Rain-X, you're good. Yeah.
So I'm driving the thing and I'm impressed with it and I'm like, man, this is amazing. And so I'm just driving along and I'm carefree at this point. I've got my AirPods in. I'm like just blasting Kraftwerk or something, and I'm just driving along, and gas gauge is getting low.
Because you had your AirPods in?
And well, so I drive. I pull in for gas, and I'm just like I'm treating it like my mom treats her,
like a car.
her Honda Pilot right
Yeah,
now. I'm just like this is a great car,
It's a car, yeah.
And so there's a certain part of me that's just like, maybe I should check the oil. I guess I'm at a gas station. Maybe I should do that. So I pop the hood, and the coolant hose looks like there's a softball in it.
I've seen those.
Which and I'm in the
duct
middle
tape.
of
You tape it
Montana.
up.
I'm in the middle of Montana, and
where there are
This gas
vintage
station had
Mitsubishi
a
dismantling
service
facilities everywhere.
Yeah, they're known
Everywhere.
for it.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
They're known for it, in fact.
30-year-old
Montero, Montana.
obscure
It's a town.
4x4 parts are
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yep. Been to Montana. That sounds right. Yep.
And
Jen is so stressed by this whole thing. all like the pressure points of the stress.
Yeah.
I can tell it is going on right now.
so like my blood like just drains like out of my face, out of my body.
You're just like
I'm
white.
just
You've
like
now turned into Edward Cullen. You're just
the blood in
I
your
already
body has
am,
done
but-
what the valve cover had done to your oil before.
correct. Somehow there was still like blood in my face and life in my
how,
body.
Wow.
And-
on earth did you live through this? I would
You
have
had at least one stroke, right?
I would have just laid down on the highway. Like just called it a day. I'm done.
I was ready. I start calling around because I'm like I'm thinking.
Someone has
like,
the parts.
Where do you find a radiator hose for a 1986 Mitsubishi Montero?
You
I'm
find
sure-
an auto parts store and you
I'm
find
sure
a
it's-
hose that's roughly the same diameter
And
and
so-
shape.
Or you
I
steal
go-
somebody's garden hose, no big deal.
It's like garden hose isn't that big.
I call up O'Reilly's in town.
And
They have it in stock.
what?
In stock. They're like, I'm sure they're just like,
They,
whoa.
they must be wrong.
Someone's calling about that hose that we
It's
have
got like
had
spider
for
webs
20
all
years.
over it. And
It's like Ryan with the extra parts at Good Karma.
oh god.
Yeah, it's like me. Like somebody calls up, hey, by chance, do you happen to have a blower motor fan for an Audi 5000? Annoyingly enough, I do.
I used
Please
to get
don't
that
call
kind
again.
of question all the time, and the amount of times I'm just like, why do I have this?
Yeah, seriously. No, seriously. There was if you ever talk to Keith, like he can attest the fact I had to go sit down and take a break.
Is your gentleman man lover?
Mm-hmm.
I had to sit down and take a break because I was going through inventory and I found a actual blower motor for an Audi 5000, and they're not known for blower motors failing. And we had seen one Audi 5000 throughout my entire employment at Good Karma. And so I'm like, there's no reason on earth why we have this. And for some reason, it only fit the Audi 5000. It fit nothing else. And we had this blower motor.
It was probably for that car, and the person just elected not to do it.
and it
like
was never
3 years
and it
ago.
was never returned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And I'm annoyed that was never returned.
Ah.
Yeah, because Bill's like a hound about returns. So he just like, I don't want to deal with it, and just like yeeted it up into like the rafters, and so that we'd forget about it.
So anyway,
As you
the
do.
middle of Montana.
That's
the
what happened
O'Reilly-
with
Montana.
this.
And like I'm just incredulous. I'm like
Okay.
I didn't even know what to say. Like just
Thank
like
you.
I think I just
I'm-
like
did you just-
stayed
did-
on the line
I need
and
that.
with silence for like a minute.
Did you just go like, in 1980? Well, what year?
like I was just like,
No,
I love you.
What your Montana is?
Like,
Or
are you
Montero is
single?
a 80.
Like-
It's a 86, right?
Can you? It's a 88.
Yeah. So you're like, I said 88, not 98. Like, are you 100%
4-cylinder,
sure?
not V6?
Yeah. Are you 100%? Can you like touch this with your fingers to
Yeah,
make
can
sure
you get
this is a
hands
real?
on this to make sure
Like,
that it exists?
I
Can
need
you
you to
send
physically
me
touch this
7
photos.
pictures
Yeah.
from 7 different devices?
Yeah, I need to make sure that this is true. 'Cause
How many
I-
people are working there today?
Yeah.
Oh, there are 4 of us. I'm like, all get out your cell phones, call this number, text this number that I just called you with a photo of a different angle of this radiator hose.
Yeah,
I'm on my way.
I need
With your faces
I need
in it.
multiple pieces of proof, and I need a timestamp. It's like verifying your account on Reddit. Like you have to take a picture of like your butt with like the name of the r/ that you're trying to join.
Sphincter matches. Let them pass.
That's a real one.
God.
Anyway.
So you get it.
Who
I get
hexed
it.
you?
Probably
I-
Yuri.
What witch did you make mad?
I
Like,
think you
that's
made
what I
them,
wanna know.
them happy because the hose didn't explode.
Well, yeah, he made
It's true.
he made someone mad, and then someone was like, "He's not that bad."
An ex-girlfriend from high school got into Wicca, and now
probably
she's
true.
just like ruining your life.
It's when you just loosen the radiator cap a little bit and you keep on going.
So you,
Yeah.
But
you
you found
you-
the hose.
You got the hose.
I got the hose.
And it was real.
It was real. I changed it in the auto parts parking lot
It's
and
amazing.
put water in it and then
Drove.
It was a car.
And
You
it
didn't
got
have
it got
to-
to Minneapolis after that, right?
He didn't even have to rent a bird
It got
scooter
to
get there.
Minneapolis.
That's impressive.
It got to Minneapolis
It
after
was
this.
pretty
Hey.
bouncy. I did realize. So I was like halfway through. I'm like, wait a sec. With this kind of luck, like I'm gonna get it flat. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get something like that. I bought a tire pressure gauge and I checked the tire pressures and it was riding really bouncy. I found out why they were all at 65 psi. Like they pegged the gauge, which I think is like. I mean, I think that's what my bike uses for
Yeah,
tire
but like
pressure.
most
Bikes are like
SUV
65
tires,
to 100, yeah.
maybe like 39 to 44 is the maximum sustained
Fi-
pressure.
55
Correct.
is the
I
highest that
think
you can
40
put on.
was max on the sidewall. So
Wonderful. And he had just driven for like...
So the center of the tread was very worn out now.
they had a little dry cracking to you
Good
know, make
Lord,
you
man.
pucker.
So you almost died.
Have you ever heard of the nightmare of the Goodyear G098?
There's different tires on it right now.
I was
Yeah,
checking
correct.
out the
Like-
profile though. Like if one of those just went, I'm like you would have some work cut out for you keeping
Yeah.
that from rolling.
Yeah.
So, have you heard the story of the Goodyear G098?
is that the exploder tires?
No, those were
no,
Firestone.
that was
Oh, okay.
the RV tire that was meant for medium duty trucks, but they got it okayed for RV trucks because between the time they checked it, like at DOT testing, and when they actually tested it, Goodyear added an extra 40 psi of pressure to get it to the sidewall to not buckle, and then people were driving at 55 psi and they were exploding, and then people were airing them back up correctly and they were exploding again for a different reason. So all these like RVs in the mid 2000s the tires were exploding and they were like barrel rolling down the street because of this, and like several people died.
I mean,
That sounds like a Goodyear G098.
Oof. Well,
So you
I
got
hope it wasn't, but
so you got home though.
I got
Obviously, I'm
home.
talking to you. So you didn't barrel roll down the street in a barrel of flames. So
And-
that's good.
I mean, honestly, the crazy part is since then the truck 4x4 thing has been
Perfect.
pretty much.
Oh my God. So
I put new tires on it.
every single problem you could have ever possibly happened, you just went through a trial by fire, and now you have a perfect truck.
Correct.
all very very menial problems that are easy to solve
God.
Like I haven't even like
when
I've
you're
hardly
near
watched
it.
this thing.
But yeah.
Not when you're on the other side of the world. Holy crap.
So I'm not gonna be shipping cars anymore.
No, you should be shipping cars.
Yeah. Just,
Well,
you just ship
okay,
them home.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, exactly.
You
That
just
would
ship
have
them
solved
straight home.
Yeah, getting anything
11
worked on.
million of my problems.
Good Lord.
God.
That was the biggest ordeal.
So
I knew
take a
that
I
deep
love
breath,
that
take a deep
story,
breath.
but I'm very stressed.
my
and
my emotions are shot.
I'm stressed. Like I'm
Luckily-
sweating just thinking.
So-
Just take solace in the fact that we're going to softball you next.
Okay.
So
sweet.
your next question number 3. Also, that takes
The
cake for
easiest
the
question?
longest answer to any question on our coverage.
And we already know it just by his
Apologies.
garage. But
No.
This is the third question.
do you prefer?
We will kick you out if you answer this wrong.
Correct. That is correct. A fast car driven in a slow manner, or a slow car driven in a fast manner?
I think you'll probably know, but by my vehicles, that I'm definitely a slow car fast. I mean,
Perfect.
I
That is
Stay
the
on
You
correct
get to
answer.
stay.
Okay.
Yep.
We will actually air this episode instead of throwing
Ah.
you, instead of defenestrating you out that window.
Defenestrating.
You
is a
don't
great
need to
word.
say out the window. Defenestrate
Well,
means
that particular window. I pointed
Okay.
at a particular window.
Okay.
Now,
It's actually okay. Yeah.
what got you
It's a-
into
it's a
cars?
door, but,
Real
you know.
quick, in 50 words or less.
Yeah. Good question. I don't know.
It was a good story, so I'm not at all perturbed. But
Yeah,
wow.
and I'm not perturbed. That's I'm like, Scott would like to do stuff at some point today.
We have 5 Twitch viewers.
Yeah, because everybody wants
They
to
like
hear
the
that.
story. The little Montero that could.
That was an
Yes!
amazing story. A truck
Ooh,
that
we
fought
should
you the
we
entire
should
way.
get little stickers, the little Montero that could, and it's just like
so-
a little Taylor. with the thumbs up.
we should
endless designs.
we should actually make that so like episode 172 dash the little Montero that could with the Taylor finger.
But yeah, so who got you into cars or what?
No one in my family was into cars. I just like had Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
Like in my hands at all times since I was like 1 or 2.
As
And
many of us
It's
do.
never been a thing that I've like, some people are like, no, like I think I like cars. Like I think I'll like get into them or something. Like it's not even a choice for me.
It's not like the people on the Minnesota Cars and Coffee Facebook page that are losing their minds over a Ferrari Portofino or something.
The automatic
Porta-potty?
V8 porta potty.
Yeah, a Ferrari Porta Potty.
I love it.
Well, the reason I'm particularly interested in exactly how is because you aren't exactly what I imagine as a car enthusiast when I think of one, because like you're wearing a twirly washer, you've got round glasses, you live in Minneapolis. Like, if I saw you on the street, I would probably talk to you about vintage cameras before I talk to you about cars, and
Pabst
maybe
Blue Ribbon, fixed gear bicycles, and
yeah,
vinyl.
yeah, like that's what I talk to you about, not cars.
do have all
I'd
of
be
those.
Okay, cool.
exactly like that's how I would picture you, as opposed to being like first thing to talk about. Let's talk about vintage Monteros.
Well, now I'm
and Volvos.
disappointed you didn't drink a PBR when you were here.
Well,
He did look at it.
I actually picked it up and then I saw, it's
So
a hot
you
day.
put
It's a hot day.
coronavirus on one of my beer cans?
Well, I'll take it.
You prick.
I'll take
Road
it on.
beer.
Don't worry.
Road
Yeah, it's one for the road.
Road beer. I'll need it when it
So
breaks
you
down.
so you just basically had Hot Wheels, and then that turned into real life cars. So
Yeah, I mean, it was an obsession. Like
That's right.
I would like move the cars, like up and down the table and just like watch the wheels move and like
and yeah, watch how they actually move, not just like ooh fast car, yay.
like cars
Yeeting them
like,
across the room like all the terrible children.
Yeah.
Ugh, I
How many
babysit kids
times
with
has
hundreds of Hot Wheels.
yeet been said in this episode? I feel like it's a bunch.
It's a
Probably.
new
We
need a
term
yeet
for
counter.
throw. Yeah,
I do
it's
need
a
yeet counter.
it's a particular kind of throw though.
I could do that with the Stream Deck. It does give you an option to have a custom counter.
That's a
Yeah,
good
count
idea.
the yeets.
So-
I have many empty spaces we could use.
So you actually played with your Hot Wheels and looked at them like how they were actually mechanically, and that's what got you in the cars.
I mean, I don't even know if there's a defining thing that got me into cars. It's just like
You
it was
just
an
liked
obsession.
them.
Like
No, it's I know what you mean.
I love the art of them. I love how complex and yet sometimes simple
Show
they
me
are
on this beer where the car touched you.
everywhere.
Okay, cool.
So, what are your favorite local shows and events that you like to go to in the car community? Or it
So-
doesn't have to be local either, I guess. but-
Surprisingly, I'm not a huge like car show guy. I'm
That's
not
fair.
a huge like I'd rather drive cars than standing around in a parking lot most
That's
of the
fair.
time. Although I mean honestly, like the Stinky Nugs
Stinky Nugs is great.
is amazing.
I love that. We should.
Bauhaus car meets are amazing.
Bauhaus can put on a good car meet when they actually feel like putting together an event.
Yeah, both the motorcycle shows and the car meets are
Yeah.
pretty good. There's what I like about them is that it's just very low ego, and
Yeah.
it's like so many car shows are just like, let me swing my dick around.
Yeah, look at how big my testicles are. Look at my Viper. And I'm like, dude, your Viper sucks. Like, it's always about the
Mm-hmm. Unless
car
it's
shows.
a Gen 1.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like it's
Still
like
shitty.
like
Still
I
shitty.
will
It's
walk
still
past.
shitty, but
No offense, Eric. I'll walk past everything in your garage for the most part, and then walk to that Montero immediately.
fine.
And you would too at a car show, actually, probably. Yeah. Like
That's why I don't take fancy cars at car shows.
Like you just enjoy
I
them.
take Mr. Wags. Like,
Like,
if
it's-
you know what the fuck that is, we can be friends.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Mr. Wiggs.
Oh, he's all clean now.
He's got a rear wheel
It looks
drive
so good.
manual.
He's so
Oh,
pretty.
rear-wheel drive manual.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a rare car.
That's very
It
rare.
is. It almost got totaled out, and then everyone he knew screamed at the insurance company.
In unison, you could hear it from the moon.
No, they made death threats on the MN Subies kid
Oh,
who
yeah.
hit me, and I yelled at my insurance company.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
It was
Mr. Wags, he's very important.
very dramatic.
So-
but
good car.
So
Very
we
exciting.
have this question might be a little bit difficult for you, but this is called the Mondial Challenge, and it stemmed from an event
Reminds
where
me of
Eric.
Ferrari Mondial.
yes.
It is.
Yes, yes,
So
in fact.
Eric was in California, and our friend Aaron, showed,
Yeeted to me a Craigslist
yeah,
link.
showed him a Craigslist
That's-
link
that's
of a
happened.
absolutely perfect Mondial sans an engine. Obviously, somebody had bought this Mondial for the engine to get a 308 running, because that's what you do. Is the Mondial is
Ooh.
cheaper than buying a 308 engine, so you just use the Mondial engine, buy the whole Mondial,
I can see where
put
this
the
is
engine into the 308, and now you have an empty Mondial shell that you just sell.
But it was baby blue. It had speed lines. It was an 84.
It was
hard
it's a
top.
perfect Mondial. Yeah,
Great
the
car.
thing is,
$6.5 grand.
a Mondial all in is worth less than the engine inside the Mondial.
Correct.
So you can't just like put in another engine. So the question is, you now have this awesome 80s Radwood car. What engine do you put in?
And transmission.
And transmission, it has to be transverse and no cutting sheet metal, because somebody has to be able to put this a Ferrari 308 engine in if they want. So
Okay.
I said a 12A rotary on a AE 101 Corolla transmission with an adapter plate that's made in Puerto Rico. They actually do make those. Eric said a 3.3 V6.
Yep. So I've got a Toyota 3MZ FE with the TRD 1MZ supercharger on it with the Solara 5-speed transaxle.
That's
Okay.
his reasoning or his choice.
400 horsepower, turnkey reliable.
What would you put in? And it has to be again transverse and manual.
It'd be so. I do love the BMW M54 B30.
Way too long.
Yeah, they're way too
Are
long. to
they
tra-
really?
Yeah,
It's a-
because
it's
that's
a
your transverse.
transverse.
So like mounted
Is that
sideways.
a V6 or a?
The Mondial
Wait.
was a transverse V8.
It's a
Oh, the Mondial. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
so it's
thinking of the
the Dino.
412 or something.
Yeah, you're thinking of the
okay.
Dino.
The BB.
Yeah, no, the Mondial is a transverse V8.
Oh,
So
So
that,
this is what makes this actually a difficult
okay.
question.
That is a difficult.
Yeah, we've had people
question.
confidently come in here like, oh, I'm going to put a Porsche flat 6 in. I'm like, won't fit, bro.
Yeah, how are you gonna do that?
Hmm.
No, like you need a transverse training for that, and they go, well, shit. I'm gonna. No, you're not.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Alpha V6.
Actually, yeah,
It's
you
been
could.
said, but it's a good
you-
answer.
That is, you could put
I
in
mean-
from like the late model ones where they went front wheel drive after the Milano.
Yeah, I think the answer actually was that, like, they picked a fairly late one. So it was like the 3.2, but it was the 4-valve.
Like
later.
a Barrera
It wasn't one
engine.
of the early ones where it had like a hydraulic on the intake and it had a giant, like a follower and a rocker on a stud for the old 2.5s and the 3.0s. They're just a terrible design. So I think the later Alpha V6, the 3.2 with the manual.
That
is
would
what-
actually be a really cool swap.
That's a good sounding motor, and
Yep.
It looks pretty. So when it's broken, and also,
which is all the time.
yeah, and well,
Yeah.
the thing is,
It'll still be a Ferrari then,
Yeah.
because
Get
it'll be
parts in
broken.
Montana. Yep.
and well, and the other thing is with the Mondial Challenge, your bar is pretty low because you're trying to hit 240 horsepower and Ferrari reliable, which is not. So reliability doesn't really matter that much, and you just need to make a minimum of 240 horsepower. So
Yeah.
it's very easy to attain. So that's a good question. I think you're only the second person that said that.
Yep.
So
And the
which
other-
is
yeah, I think I want to say like Darren was the other person that said Alpha V6.
I feel
Probably.
like everybody
Probably.
from Darren's friend group
Yeah.
that like when we have like I think when we have Richard on, I think he's been on, but when we have him on again,
We'll call him Dick.
yeah. When we have Dick on again, New Zealander Dick on again,
Dick.
he'll probably say that as well. So it'll just be like
Fine with that.
every friend group has their one engine that they put in.
Yeah, we've had a huge gamut of answers. Lots of really good ones.
Yeah, and
but-
the Alfa Romeo engine's definitely the rarest answer. But yeah, most people just like cop out and say, "Oh, put a K24 in it."
Yeah, we get a lot of K series. We get a lot of LS, which
And
you
then
can
you
do with the
fight-
Do
GT40
you eat them
transaxle.
out the
but-
show at that point, or
No, we do that at the Slow Car Fast thing.
okay?
We weed them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We've already kind of answered this because California is pretty close to the Pacific Northwest.
but I
And the
guess
car was
if
in
you-
this price range.
So what this is, you're in California for a week.
2
renting
weeks.
2 weeks. Renting a car is exceedingly expensive at that point. It doesn't make sense to rent a car.
It does actually say
Right.
1. It should be 2.
For car week, e.g. for car
Oh,
week.
yeah.
Yeah,
Car-
so that's
yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah, you fly down there before, then you leave a little bit after.
Sure.
That's how you get the best flight. Now, instead of renting a car and then being stuck with a Corolla at best, for like 2 weeks of your life,
We had an entire episode about our rental horror stories, so that's why we created this challenge.
Fair.
what do
Okay.
you buy in California and then drive home
Fiat
afterwards?
X19.
That's
If it runs when you buy it, it's probably fine. So, all right.
That's it. There you go. /thread.
All right, there
Best
you
one
go.
in the world. $3,000.
I love how the
I like how you
question.
just had that ready.
This
Like,
took like 10 seconds, and
Yeah,
the what do you drive question
usually
took
we
an hour.
get like
It's completely backwards.
usually when people are on this question, they take like the most time, and then the
I
I
did-
love that.
I give you like all this lead up so you can think of an answer, and they're just like, Fiat X19. Done.
Well, logically it would be something different, but I know in my heart it would just be
Well,
if there was any condition Fiat X19.
You said logically, and I'm looking at that Montero in this hour-long story you
Do you
just
think
told
there's
me.
any logic?
No, so it's gonna actually be a Fiat X19. You're not gonna do like a Subaru or something, which would make sense. No, you're doing the Fiat X19.
It's going to be a Fiat X19 purchased or Bertone for $3,000, and then it will break, costing you a total of probably $5,000 by the time you get it home. But
But damn it, you're having another really good story. You have 2 stories just like the Montero.
and you will end up with an X19, which is a super fun car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, all right, I think that's actually
Yeah,
the
we
end
will.
of the episode.
We're going to cut all
Um,
the topics.
We're gonna cut all the talks because this is just the Taylor finger-thon.
This is
I
gonna-
just want to know what's the name of your cat.
Oh yes,
Simba.
Holy
Simba.
crap!
Simba.
We forgot to talk about your cat. We're gonna have you invade the next episode.
I'm actually
too.
going to put this
Okay.
in as one of our standard guest topic questions.
What's the name of your cat?
What's the name of your cat?
Because that's actually.
Well, if you have any cat owners that are
You're only allowed on the show if you like
I mean
cats.
exactly.
If they say, "Oh, I'm a dog person," then you yeet them out the
Yeah.
door.
yeah,
well, that's-
they're
that's
not
question
allowed.
number
we
one.
Don't, we don't even. Yeah, it should be number 1 before Who Are You?
But the formatting will break, and I'm lazy.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Okay. Anyway,
right.
so
Thanks,
you're welcome
Google
to stay on
Docs.
for the next episode so we can actually talk about cats while we're
Okay.
doing our Patreon questions.
There we go.
But yeah, we do have to do that. And so this is going to be really weird because our guest for the second episode is going to precede.
This is the
That's
first
fine.
time we've ever recorded week 2's episode before week 1's episode.
So this is going to be weird.
It's
All right.
a time traveling challenge.
Yes, it is. All right, so we are going to take a maybe 5-minute most break so I can grab a water
Yep.
and another beer. And then we will carry on.
Bye, guys.
Thanks
Bye,
for listening,
everyone.
guys. We'll catch you next week.
Or this
think
week.
This week? Yester week. That's the one.